You know what would be great is if we just had a backside X receiver to put on the boundary who Patrick Mahomes trusts to get a great release off the line, run a beautiful back shoulder fade, and then show late hands to where the corner has no chance at defending it. What is that? Oh, Rashee's back? He did that all the time in college, especially his last year. He's actually, and he even said this after the game, he told Pat he's more of a fade guy than anything else. Well, I guess we'll give him a shot.
The double R and the double scores in this game. Obviously, there are a lot of things about his play, what it means for the rest of the offense. Here's the thing, Seth. There's a lot of ways you can go about it. One being like, oh, Rashee Rice is back. They have the number one receiver. Awesome. Some of it could be the specifics of what he did against the Raiders, what it opens up for everybody else. I don't think he did a lot of new stuff against the Raiders, and it was still awesome.
That was a new thing in terms of their usage for him. That's wide receiver one stuff. That's, hey, you're our guy. You go win them one-on-one. We're going to send everyone else over here. They got no choice but to ISO you. And he runs great slants. So fades are, in the red zone at least, back shoulder fades, that is. Those are a natural counter to that. He had this great stutter step release that forced the corner to get his hand out there, and his bounce was off. And he just ran. The spacing was perfect. And then what I really loved, and this is one of the plays that I focused in on when I wrote about him right after the game, he waited to the absolute last second to get his hands up for that ball. And when you're running a back shoulder fade, the corner's playing you and not the ball. So he's watching for those hands, when to get his hands up. And if he doesn't get them up until right when the ball arrives, and you got to have strong hands, great reflexes to do that. It was a great wide receiver one type play. It was one of the few where it was a little bit different than what they did with him last year. Last year they did a little bit of it, but like in 2023, that's not a ton of what you saw from him. And it was building on midway through 2023. He had a touchdown against the Vikings near the goal line as well, but this was on a slant. Basically, what he's showing off here is he can win either direction. You know, but the way we talk about Chris Jones can win to either gap, and that makes him so tough to block. Rice was showing that off. Now, against bad competition, sure. But that would be like the first place I would start, because all the others, I would say all that, plus he looked just like Rashee Rice in every other way. He looks like Rashee Rice plus. And that was without them really unrolling. That was like the one new thing they rolled out with him. Other than maybe, I love that after they were trying to give him the ball, is we're going to run a fake screen to him, and you're going to leave Noah Gray wide open. Yeah, that was fun too. That was fun too.
I do think that X receiver stuff is fascinating. And like you mentioned, Seth, like that actually was in the scouting report in college coming into the draft. And then it wasn't what the Chiefs went to. And now maybe there's another gear for him. I think that's a huge deal in terms of like what his ceiling is in the NFL wide receiver hierarchy. But Nate, what stood out to you in Rice's return?
This is like coming back from summer break, and the professor hands you the syllabus, and the first day is just, I hand you the syllabus, get out of my class. And day two is, here is the most basic, rudimentary level stuff we're going to do. And we're only going to do it for one day, boys and girls. You know, but I at least have to give you guys a baseline. And then we can progress to like 201, 301, 401 type stuff. Guys, the Raiders are so bad that he never had to run a route that really required any sophistication beyond what Seth just told us. I know somebody in the comments said the no-look pass was incredible. It was. And I get the sense that if you're the Washington Commanders, that was cool. He, A, wasn't on the field for half the game. B, he didn't play in the fourth quarter. C, he didn't really run an intermediate route whatsoever. D, he was still awesome. Well, now what? So we just saw the first block, which again is targeted 10 times, 7 receptions, 2 touchdowns forget the yardage. It's
How
just
many? You said on the radio today, Nate, how many routes he ran, or it was something like 15. I don't remember if it was 14 or 16. I think it was.
Yeah, I put it in my hold on. I put it in my ESPN article. I believe it was 16, but I'm going to go back.
Okay, close enough. Close enough.
Do next gen stats. Yeah,
but he ran fewer than 20 routes and got 10 targets.
And again, I had the chart up earlier too, which is wild, guys. He does not run, which we know he can, and that, again, that's fine. But like, yeah, he doesn't run like anything that's like 10 yards downfield. It's just,
And they did hit him on that one. What I can't remember when that was last year.
Yeah, he ran. Technically, he ran. This is after the catch, but in terms of routes between the line of scrimmage and 10 yards, which is when you're just now getting into like the intermediate part of the field for the passing concepts, he ran goose eggs. 0 routes that were 10 yards past the line of scrimmage. He caught the ball, let me say this again, 7 times on 16 routes. And via Next Gen Stats, many of his 16 routes matched him up against linebackers Devin White and Eldon Roberts.
That's called the you can't play certain zone looks against us anymore look. Because unless you're in dime, it's really hard to avoid having your linebacker drag to that area of the field and being isolated on him like
Correct.
that. And he separates from it in a way that even like Worthy and Brown are both really quick, but they don't separate from that the same way. And so that should have looked familiar and if it did, it should have looked like what you saw repeatedly in week 1 of the 2024 season, where he had probably 5 catches for 80 yards like that against the Ravens.
Correct.
And so I mean, it's helpful when you're playing Devin White, but they've got a proof of concept of it. And one thing they love to do is, maybe have 12 personnel or even 21 personnel and then put him in the slot while spreading everyone out.
Yep.
It's like, oh, you've got 3 linebackers on the field. Must be nice. And so that's a lot of fun. I would just note, Nate talked about some deeper routes last year. It wasn't just like the deep shot to Cincy. He ran a couple deep crossers against Atlanta.
Yep.
He had a couple. They were really doing a few more intermediate digs, crossers, comebacks, that sort of stuff. And they didn't even have to show that, which is just delightful.
And ladies and gentlemen, not one. Not one. I mean, again, it's just the most simplistic version of of what he can do, and there's so many more layers, steps, building blocks, whatever phrase you want to get to. There's so much that he can do, and one thing that I thought was very fascinating was his willingness, Rashee, after the game, his willingness to share very prominently. I think he did this even on Friday too, before the game. Guys, the playbook's no problem for me. I want to make it very clear to everyone. I came back. I've been gone, 7 weeks? Playbook's not an issue. I would have been out there more, but coach was just being smart, and we were just matriculating the ball down the field. And, my whole persona now is everybody got to eat, so I can't, be the lone person eating for much of the game. So we got to get Taekwon a reception. We got to get Noah Gray a reception. There's another touchdown for Hollywood Brown. You're welcome. But the playbook's no problem. So if the playbook's no problem, and he's so versatile that you could use him in a number of different ways, well, what are his route concepts? What are the things that I can eliminate as a DB based on alignment, formation, down at distance? They didn't show anything. And he was still an impactful player. Think about that.